Internet! What's up, Internet? I thought it was Monday. It's not Monday. It's Wednesday. Wednesday.
Yeah, one of those days.
Is it Wednesday? Hold on.
That's how I spell it.
We gotta check. Wednesday. Diciembre 27.
It's Wuno.
It's the 27th of December. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, solstice, whatever it is you celebrate. Maybe you just sit quietly in the dark.
I take it as an eating event.
Eating event. I ate a lot of food, my man.
Mm-hmm.
I powered up and probably need to do a little cardio because I was definitely eating a lot of food. There's a lot of candy around this time of year, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to dark chocolate,
I got some dark chocolate almond roca. It's good.
Ooh, the almond rocas.
Yeah, we'll have Jimmy bring some out eventually.
I'm right near the almond roca factory. Do you know it's right near my house?
I was not aware.
Well,
do they provide a tour?
I mean, it's like 4 miles or something from my house, but
right
it's
next
like
to your house.
You just drive right over there.
Do they provide a tour?
Yes. Yeah, you can go on a tour and everything.
Do you get rocas fresh off the line?
Now that's the question that I still have. Is that I don't know if you can get them fresh right off the line.
I want one that's never touched a wrapper.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, and I was wondering. You know, Vicky and I were driving by there the other day, and they have like a little storefront out front that you can just go at any time and get rocas.
Yeah,
and they were making me. I was asking the question. I was like, I don't know. Can you get like fresher ones there, or are they the same as the store ones?
Yeah,
because it seems like you don't have to ship them very far if you just have to walk them across the parking lot. You know, like just a couple of spots right along the way. I don't know. And I was like, man, maybe we could get in there and get some fresh ones. But, you know, I'm pretty excited for candy, and which means I probably got to do a little extra cardio this week, try to burn off.
Dig some more of your pond.
So, yeah. Yes.
In the frozen ground.
The ground is a little bit frozen. It's more frozen at my house than here.
You think you're better than me?
No. I'm just saying it's just more so frozen.
All right.
But a quick backstory on my Christmas. Went over to Wenatchee, Washington. If anybody's ever been to Wenatchee, Washington.
Only to camp.
I was out there with the family. Got to see my sister in from Kentucky, which is fantastic. And also got to see my mom and her husband. And just kind of chilled out there. We took the dogs.
Yeah.
Took the dogs. And over in Wenatchee, the weather is different than this side of the mountains.
Is it on the other side of the mountains? Because
Yeah.
I only went there as a kid, and I always felt like it was like in-betweener. Like you weren't necessarily on the other side.
You're on the other side. You're on the other side enough to be on the other side.
All right.
But it is close to the mountains, so it's
I always felt like it was in the middle. Like, oh man, you had to go past Wenatchee to get
like
to
if
the
you
other
were more
side.
like if you're like Leavenworth, you're sort of like still in the mountains, but Wenatchee's like 35 miles from there. So it's just that much more removed from the mountain area. So,
right.
But the weather over there is completely different than our weather, because it's high plains desert. So in the summertime, it's like 110 all the time, every time. Although it is, I have to say, it's pretty enjoyable. I have to admit, when you're over there, you down by the water, getting a little shade.
Nope.
I mean, it's not like
102. I don't care where you are. Not enjoyable.
It's a dry heat.
That didn't make it better.
Well, it's nice if you don't like really have to do anything. You get down by the water, get down by the river, get in some shade, just hang out, drink some iced tea.
I don't know that I could ever. I can't think of a scenario where 102 degrees is better than 88.
Well, I don't think it's better than 88.
All right.
But they have a lot of 88 days.
All right, fair
Whereas,
enough.
like west of the mountains over here, we have like 3 88-degree days. They have like 40. And then there might be like 20, 110 days. But most of the days are like 88, 85, maybe a 90 in there. There's not a big difference between 88 and 90, right? But either way,
88 90
in the needless to say about the summertime, but in the wintertime they get a lot of snow. And it does dip down pretty cold. It wasn't like crazy cold
Wasn't
because
like negative 14 or anything.
people I forget who it was, Tyler this morning was like negative 30 degrees Celsius. Negative 30 degrees Celsius wherever he is in like crazy Canada, right? It doesn't necessarily
I never
get
want
that
to be
cold.
somewhere where you can throw water or pee into the snow and it freezes before it
Hits the ground. Yeah.
I never want to experience that. It sounds cool, but I never want to physically be in the place where that's happening.
It's cool, but not for very long.
No.
It's like entertaining for a little while. It's like being in a hurricane. You know what I mean? It's like it'd be entertaining for like a half an hour, and then you're like, can we just not be in the hurricane anymore? And they're like, no, it's just here, bud.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not that cold. It's probably like overnight it was probably like 19 degrees, and then during the day it was like 32, 30. So everything stayed frozen and
That
stuff
wasn't
like that. But
far off from here.
not really, but it's still doing that there.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's
yeah.
like, oh, it's 47.
Yeah, it's definitely warmed up here now.
Yeah. So it warmed up here. I know everybody on the west side got some snow, which was cool.
West
It
side?
was nice to see that everybody over here on the west side got some snow, because it was snowing over there for our white Christmas. And then we took the dogs out in the snow, had some good times. Like I said,
Does
ate
Biddy
a lot of
Brown
food.
hate snow?
What's that?
Does Biddy Brown hate snow?
Biddy Brown.
I feel like
She
since
doesn't
she's like
hate
a
the snow?
lowrider. She's just like, oh god.
She
my
doesn't
belly's
hate the
wet.
snow, but she is a lowrider. She hates the mud, like wet mud,
Hates mud more than snow.
more than snow. Because snow, she can kind of just be scooting around, right?
All right. It's like a sled dog.
And yeah,
as
so
in
she's
an
not
actual sled, not as a sled dog.
Like
but
she
it's
actually is a sledding dog.
Yeah.
Right. So not she doesn't hate the snow that much, but she does get tired of it. She's like, yeah, no, we're good now.
I mean, she's only got legs this long. So
Yeah,
it's
she's got those short little legs.
Yeah.
But I will say, Mr. Chips is not entertained by the idea of snow at all. Like, not really.
It's your first winter with him, right?
It's our first winter with him. He kind of run around for a minute. Like, he's like, oh, I got to pee on some stuff and do regular old dog things. And then was like, yeah, no, do you guys know that it's really cold out here? Yeah, it's like really cold
Yeah.
out here. This is not cool. Let's go inside where it's warm. Yeah, so that's kind of what he's got going on. And I don't know why chat keeps disconnecting over here for some reason.
I don't know. You got all kinds of problems going on over there today.
Your computer's weird, man. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Computers
But
can do that?
hopefully everybody had a fantastic Christmas. That's kind of how mine went. I know that Corey did a 4-hour live stream, right?
I cut it short because of snow.
Yeah,
So I
because
wanted
it
to
was
play in the snow.
snowing and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like you gotta.
It doesn't happen here, so I
It
had
does
to.
not happen here very much, so you got to take advantage if you can, right?
That would be so. People are always worried about if like I don't spend enough time with my wife or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That right there would have been the time. If I didn't cut it short, that would have been a time where I wasn't like hanging out with her when she really wanted me to hang out with her and stuff. So that's why I cut it short. Is most time, don't care. We can hang out later, do whatever. But while it's snowing, that's not something we can control, and so I had to seize the opportunity.
That's right. You got to get on it when you can.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas, so I mean, can't really fault people.
Yeah, no
too
one
much.
was going, oh, geez,
Like, oh man.
Yeah, look at him trying to enjoy snow and Christmas. What a horrible person. So,
Yeah. I don't understand why this chat. Yeah, see, it keeps like saying I need to sign in. Whoa, now I'm bright.
I don't know, man.
Whoa.
I've never had that problem, but
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing it.
it knows what you're up to.
Let's see. All right, there we go. Now I got the chat back.
So when you were picking rock up from Eastern Washington / Wenatchee land, was it freezing cold? Like, did you like? That's
I didn't get rock. I didn't get rock from there.
Oh,
No. I just threw in some freezing tree video action. I actually was in Port Orchard is where that rock yard was.
I see.
Or
In my
still
mind,
is.
I didn't know where Port Orchard was, so I was like, clearly that must be near Wenatchee or where that snow is.
Port Orchard's out on the peninsula out there. So you think you go like way south of Polsbo,
I see.
if that makes.
Which would still be cold, wet, and rainy and crappy over there. That's what I just anything.
Well,
over by
you know, here's
Polso,
a
like
little
the
internet
water,
secret. Here's a little internet secret for you. I didn't go there yesterday.
What?
What? What? Yeah, we actually went there the week before. So it actually was really cold out when we were there. Actually,
lie.
so it was like it was really cold out when we were there. So that was kind of the joke. And there's some in some of that video is you guys can see the you guys can see that some of the stuff is frozen.
Yeah, that's why I assumed.
Yeah.
Because on the little like fountainy things, it was all frozen. That's why you tricked me. I thought you were
that's
there.
right.
I thought you're like, yeah, I swooped by on the way home, and yeah, you got me.
Nope, it actually was a while ago. Kevin Keener's just south of Bremerton. He lived in Port Orchard. Used to live out there. Yeah, it's out on the peninsula. So it's not that one's not far to go. There obviously are a ton of other rock yards around, especially Western Washington, Oregon, California. All these states.
I assumed everywhere had some.
All these states have a lot of them. So I
But
would
maybe
assume
like-
that
maybe
most of
like-
them do.
The Midwest doesn't, because there's just so many rocks around anyway.
You
You start driving around, and you're like, yep, it's tons of rocks everywhere, which we don't have that here. We don't have tons of rocks everywhere.
yeah, we do.
Not in the capacity where
We
you're
have
like, look at
mountain
all
ranges.
these.
We have giant.
Yeah, we don't drive through them all the time.
We have 16,000-foot piles of them. We just call them mountains.
Yeah, but I don't feel like they've rolled down
That's
the
Mount
mountain and
Rainier.
collected and made it easy for us to pick them up.
It's fairly easy here to collect them.
I find that I never have a reason to really.
But
drive
if you're
by
trying
them.
to collect like a specific rock, you might have a problem.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're all like glacierized and random stuff. Whereas like, you hit a state and you're like, that's where this red rock comes from.
Right.
It's the entire 20 next miles.
We have a lot of glacial till here for
so
sure.
There's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, so you can definitely find a lot of stuff here. That the easiest way to do that in Western Washington is just go to a river, you know.
Yeah.
And you can find stuff in the riverbed. That's actually pretty easy to find. What I got in that video is actually what's called columnar basalt. It's actually basalt, but it actually has these kind of straight up and down veins in it that make it kind of break off into these sort of.
That's why.
I was gonna say, it's not a hexagon. It's like a pentagon, right? Yeah, five side pentagon, not hexagon. Breaks into these like pentagonal
Ooh, pentagonal.
like columns. Typically, very large is how that happens. You know, like you couldn't wrap your arm around it very much. So it's pretty rare to find the spots where it's actually doing it in the real thin columns, right? And oftentimes when I've found columnar basalt and then hiked all the way up the mountain to go get some, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go all the way up there and I'm gonna go get some of that because those veins look really small. It turns out they're just really far away. And then when I get up there, I'm like, those are too big. They can't fit, and I
Even
can't
still,
carry
You're a
that.
madman because I've collected rocks from the river before, and somehow it seems like a really good idea to start filling 5-pound or 5-gallon buckets full of rocks until you got to like hike them back out.
Yeah,
And
carry
then
them
you're
back
like,
out. Yeah.
I could just go buy these from a rock yard, and they're like 12 cents a pound. I dang near died saving myself $1.63.
Right.
You know.
So, yeah, that basalt I got was kind of, I mean, it was kind of more on the expensive side as far as like a landscape rock goes because it is, you know, pretty rare to find them in the real skinny version that I had. So, but it was altogether, it was only $20 after tax. You know, so
Yeah.
it's really not that much for when you get down to it.
It can be super duper
And
cheap.
basalt is pretty heavy. Basalt is like lead. It's pretty hefty. So
Does it do anything to the water parameters at all?
basalt doesn't. That's one of the cool things about basalt. Whether it be the blue variety, green variety, black, it actually basalt actually comes in a bunch of colors, and it is 100% inert as far as water goes. It's not going to do anything in the water and stuff. So that's one of the reasons I go for it. Not only because it's local, but I like the way that it looks, because it often breaks off in these nice, like, kind of straight.
No, it looked cool in the
just
video.
straight pieces and stuff like that.
Like it reminded me of like Eye of Sauron or something, like some kind of scene where like look at all the stuff coming up.
Right. Yeah, and the so I have some basalt that's called serpentinized, right? So it's actually green, and I know where to get more of it, and I'm not going to tell anybody where I can get more of it. Namely, because there are some motivated Western Washington people that'll probably drive over there and like I'll go back and be like, "Oh man, what happened?"
Yep.
But I'll be but I'll probably be getting some more of that green so that I can fill out the 150. There's some pieces of it in the 150 right now, so I'll probably be adding that in there. But
nice.
Yeah, so I like basalt because it's just 100% like not gonna do anything to the water. You know, it's not like limestone.
I felt like in
like,
the video,
what's happening to my water? It's going crazy. Like,
I felt like in the video they were standing up on their own. Did you have substrate in that tank? But it seemed like you would just place them and they were, or did you have to break them? Or
I picked them.
What's up?
I picked them.
Oh, you just picked them with the flat bottoms?
Well, I picked them so that they're, you know, there's a big giant. They happen to have big bins of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we just pick through them until we find some that are nicely weighted and they're going the right direction and all that kind of stuff. So it's just sort of being selective, doing a little bit of, you know, picking rocks up and what's this one do and what's that one do. I will be cutting down 2 of them, so I'll be throwing those on my wet saw and then adding, and then I'll be adding some bases to them. So there'll be a video on that coming up at some point in time. Yeah.
I guess, are you going to add bases to all of them?
Not all of them. Just probably like 3 out of the 5. Because that's only going to be 5. It's going to be a 5 stone.
Because I was thinking you could just make like a piece of acrylic on the bottom, attach all of them, and nothing could ever fall over.
2 of them could probably never fall over.
Oh, okay.
2 of them have like such a flat bottom, and they're weighted so perfectly. It's like I could cut it and make it not fall over just as much as it would not fall over already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 of them I won't need to cut, but 3 of them I will, and then they'll be attached just so that they'll stay when I attach a base to them, just so they'll be like right where I want them to be.
And are you were you able to buy just the perfect amount of rock, or like I tend to go nuts where I'm like, I better buy half my car full so I can get the right look?
Yeah.
Or were you able to be like, I bought 6 pieces and I'm using 6 pieces?
I literally bought 5 because we didn't want to have bad luck. Right.
Oh, okay.
We got to follow the Japanese style.
Yeah.
We don't want to have bad luck.
Yeah.
So if we do 6, you might have bad luck.
Ooh,
right?
You got to go to 7 if you're going to 6. Or,
yeah. If you get then next thing you know, you're like, well, now I've got 7, so I might as well just go to 11, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this amp goes all the way to 11. What movie was that?
School of Rock.
No, not School of Rock. I'm trying to remember. It's that Rob Reiner movie, Spinal Tap. That's a good one. But anyhow, yeah. So I just made sure I go. You know, Vicky's like, "How many are we getting?" And it's like, "We're getting 5. That's it. We just gotta get 5 good ones, and we're not gonna get any more than that, because then I'll, you know, I'm the same way, and I've learned my lesson that it's like." Yeah, I've got all these bins with like extra stuff in them, and I'm like, I don't have any tanks to put them in, and then I'm like, I should probably get some more tanks, and then I end up getting more tanks, and then I got more projects.
I am just storing a bunch extra rock is what I do. Like, no, I'm going to use it someday. No, someday.
Someday. Yeah.
It's been 6 years, and then they're all covered in like spiders and gunk, and then I'm like, oh no, I don't want to clean those. I'll go buy other ones.
I'll go buy some other rocks.
So I'm trying to curb it now.
Yeah. I've learned that the hard way of like accumulating a bunch of stuff and then going like, wait a minute, I don't have anywhere to put this. I don't have anywhere to put any of this stuff. So, all right, we'll try to catch up with the chat here a little bit. I was having a bit of a problem with YouTube letting me know what is going on with
Has it stabilized?
all of the comments on that new rock video. So I was basically going to just go through some of the comments that were on there, but I don't know what's going on with YouTube today. It's not necessarily letting me know what the comments are. So I'll type those in later, and then if anybody had any kind of pressing questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat down below or to the side or in the pop-out or wherever you have it on yours, and we'll hammer those out a little bit. KG Sickle is saying peppermint rokas. Oh, do they have peppermint?
No.
Do they have peppermint almond rokas?
I'm sure they do, and the answer is no.
It's just no. I like the mint chocolate truffle.
That would be fine, but anytime people start putting like candy canes on stuff, my answer is no. It only
No, I
makes
wouldn't
it
want
worse.
like a big chunk of peppermint candy cane with a little bit of chocolate on the
No.
outside. That wouldn't be good.
No, what they do is instead of, like the nuts they'd put on the outside, it's all crushed up candy cane.
On the outside?
Yeah.
On the almond roca?
Mm-hmm. No.
I can't imagine that would be too threatening.
It's not horrible.
I was thinking that like the whole big inside part would just be like a
That would be
super hard
terrible.
candy cane.
But imagine like eating a whole Butterfinger candy bar and you're like, yeah, it's kind of in my teeth. It's like that on crack when you're eating candy canes, though.
Oh,
And,
right. Just
and then you're
chewing
just
on it.
like, oh god, it's all
Yeah.
I'm a no when it comes to candy canes being mixed with like chocolate or anything, even like high-end cookies. Doesn't matter. The minute you start crushing up candy canes, I'm angry that it is both worse than a candy cane and worse than whatever it is without the candy cane.
Right.
It's never improved by crushing up a candy cane and putting on it. I'm like, you took a perfectly good product and made it worse by putting candy cane on it.
Oh, this is a great question right here.
All right.
All right, I got one. I got a good one from Manny Caroleo. Manny Caroleo is asking, hey, gents, if I wanted to drive a bunch of Easy Green into Canada by way of New York, how would I go about getting interested parties? I want to help get your products into people's hands. Any suggestions?
First, so I'm assuming you live in Canada.
That's what I'm thinking.
I
Canada, down to New York, back
would
up to
see
Canada.
if there's any Facebook groups first.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Like there's a lot of buy, sell, swap groups that aren't exactly easy to find, but once you're in one, pretty soon a guy talks about like, oh, did you see him posting over in Northeast Western Ontario? And you're like, no, I don't know that one yet. And so you find your way there,
Right.
and then you can start trying to do group buys, and if there's a forum, and that's how I would probably do it, is like, here's the group buy, is anyone into it? And then realize like the first trip you're gonna be like, so there was 7. Oh, he lives in New York.
Oh, okay.
But same thing. I would still approach the Canadians. Like I would go find their groups and be like, I'm willing to make a trip up here and sell you guys some stuff. Now, you get into some weird legality things of like, are you selling it at a profit? Then it's a business. Then you probably technically have to have
Some kind of business
when
deal.
you're importing it and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But if you're selling it like at the cost you paid for it, then maybe it's not a thing. Maybe it's just like, oh, I'm just helping out a hobbyist. Like I don't know the legalities of that. I know for me to do that, like I've looked into driving a giant, a giant semi over the border filled with Easy Green, but then that becomes you're importing a product and you now need a business license to be selling that product and things like that. So that's
Right,
very
yeah.
different. So,
Yeah, I would say, some people are asking, would it be a big deal to run some fertilizer across the border? I don't think it would be a big deal if you had, like, for instance, if you had, like, the labeled bottles that are like, this is what this is.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be a problem as just a person that you're going like, hey, I've just got a
I
case
think
of
it's
this
like
or whatever.
anything. If you've got a case of it, the Border Patrol aren't going to know, like, oh, a case of that would last one person, like, their entire lifetime.
Right.
But if they see an entire truck bed full of it, they're going to be like, what is all of this for? I know that one person doesn't need this. And so that's what I think you'll run into is just like, if it's a normal amount where, like, someone who's not an aquarist would see it and just be like, yeah, aquarium fertilizer. Oh, yeah, probably use like one of those a week. Who knew?
Right,
You
yeah.
know? But anytime they're like, that's a lot, that's when they're like, what you doing with this? What's the plan? And, pretty much I don't think it's ever going to fly when you're like,
Yeah.
no, the whole truck bed, I'm giving it to my friend Buddy. They're like, really? You're driving a truck full of stuff to give away? That seems a little shady. So I would try that because I've got the same thing. I could drive it straight across the border, but it's a legality thing for me. That's the same reason I don't ship it over. Well, shipping is expensive, but driving it over. And we do have people that will drive down and pick up like a bunch of Phoenix lights. So that's another thing. If you're doing that kind of a business model with the fertilizer and stuff like that, lights, because they're rated differently in Canada compared to the U.S. and it's a much smaller market. A lot of lights don't get rated, so they can't be brought there.
Michelle Shear says, hashtag Team Corey. What does that mean?
I don't know, but I'm on it, apparently.
Yeah.
Team Corey's here.
Weird. Sorry to interrupt your...
Yes.
I interrupted your fertilizer import, but I think you could bring it in. I don't think it would be a big problem. But yeah, like you said, find a local
I
group
think you'll be fine.
Like if you were in like Syracuse and you're going to drive over to Ontario and you're like, yeah, I'm going to bring a case. I don't think it would be a huge ordeal. I think you'd just be able to find a local group, be like, hey, I'm bringing over fish fertilizer.
You could find on my local aquarium club.
What do they
on
cost?
My website. $20 for a...
How much?
$20, $19.99 for
a bottle?
16 ounce. It'll treat like a 55 for a year.
It'd be like, so maybe you were like, hey, I'm bringing 20 of these.
Yeah.
They're $20 plus tax or whatever it is, whatever the deal was. Yeah, and you could just hook up the club.
I would look up the club that's there because I know I've put some in Ontario because on the website. And you could also just like show up for one of their meetings and be like, hey man, I got Easy Green in the back seat.
I got Easy Green in the back.
Or you could email them and they might be like, yeah. Sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's weird because it's weird to give advice because I really do think it's going to come down to like you take 12 units, no one cares. You take 120 units, all of a sudden you got the world coming down on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fertilizer. So people... they do get weird when it's like, oh, that's a lot of fertilizer. What are you doing with that much fertilizer?
Fertilizing.
Yeah.
I'm fertilizing.
Yeah. So.
Let's see here.
I do know that Nick is having a problem with his anemone. The pH has crashed on him, and I think he's been searching on the internet, and it doesn't look good for him. My initial thought, without knowing more and talking to someone in person, is how did we crash the pH? Because in general, when I've run saltwater tanks, if I'm running a decent quality salt, the pH pretty much never crashes unless you were to like do something horribly wrong. Because like it's buffered up so much and it's so high.
pH typically...
Because like even
pH
if it,
typically crashes if you have overproduction of CO2.
Yeah.
AKA acidification.
Yep.
So you might want to look into if your tank is in the fish room that may or may not be injecting a bunch of CO2 into the air. It is something I have to take into consideration because of my planted tanks.
So really, that actually comes into play that much?
It can. I mean, the thing is, if you get the CO2 in the room up to 400 parts per million, which our baseline now is 400 parts per million, and you have a small ecosystem, and the air is 400 parts per million, and your skimmer is running, it's going to start immersing 400 parts per million from the air in the room, right? Which kind of puts you not in danger or anything like that, but that's pretty high for salt water. And then if you take into account that, like, so my CO2 might jump that up 100 points, right?
Right.
Just gassing off from the other tanks. Now I'm at 500, or maybe I'm at 550 or something like that. So that's something that most Apex controllers and stuff like that will monitor. I would recommend that if you do have pH crash, the first thing that you need to do is figure out when that's happening, right? Because if you don't have any information as to when it's happening, it's really difficult to go, oh, well, your calcium's low, right? Because you could adjust the calcium, but you haven't maybe fixed the problem, which is essentially it's like the algae in a freshwater tank, right? If you go like, well, I have blackbeard algae. Okay, it's like, okay, what are you doing in your tank? And they're like,
you're treating the symptom, not fixing the problem.
I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to give you any information. And then you go, well, I don't know how to help you if I don't have any information on what's going on in your tank. So that would be the first thing that I would do, is get something that can track your pH and see when what's going on. Oftentimes you can find them for sale on Craigslist and stuff like that. Almost everybody has like an old reef keeper or something along those lines. You can get a probe and then see what's happening to try and figure out.
I always assumed that with enough like base rock and all that kind of stuff, that when the water acidifies a bit, it would just kind of dissolve back in. Like I myself, and not that I've kept like a ton of reefs or anything like that, I want to say I've interacted in my life with less than 20, like on a meaningful basis. I've never run into that problem yet where I'm like, oh geez, pH is crashing. I'm running out of calcium. I've run out of a lot of things, but in terms of pH moving, I feel like I've really never had that problem. And maybe it was just the water change schedule I was doing, or maybe I wasn't in confined rooms, I guess. I just have never run into that myself.
Yeah, I would definitely start to find out what deficiency is there and start to go from there. If you have something that is logging the 24-hour cycle to see what's going on, because sometimes it has to do with, one of the ways that I've avoided the pH crashing is an alternating light cycle from the reef tank lights to my refugium lights. So essentially, like, the reef tank lights turn off, the refugium light turns on. So those are so that my refugium macroalgae and stuff like that will actually be pulling some of that extra CO2 that may or may not be in production. So for people that don't know,
like, let's say you had algae or macroalgae in the display tank. Once the light goes out, they start producing CO2 instead of consuming it. But because you kick on the refugium down below, it's now consuming CO2 while the other one's producing it, and it helps keep a balance. But a lot of people don't know that, even freshwater tanks and stuff like that. Like, no, yeah, plants make oxygen until they're not. And when they're not, they're actually making CO2. So, yeah. What else?
Let's see. Some people were saying to dim out his lights a little bit.
Possibly.
I would say, it's a good idea to probably dim out your lights a little bit. Your coral can photosynthesize pretty rapidly. If you have lights like mine, you can actually just dim them down with the dial and that kind of stuff, and double check and make sure that if you don't have that, the easiest way to dial it down would be to dial down the hours that it's on. So like if you don't have a dimmer, and then if your anemone is being a little bit cranky,
I like the term
mopey,
yeah,
being a little bit weird, sometimes I'll actually drag my lights to the front of the tank and give them a dark area if they want to go to a dark area, and then go like, what are you doing, right? And they don't say anything back. It's more me just going like, what are you doing? And they're like,
then tomorrow you come in and they're like back in the corner, and you're like,
and then they're
okay,
back
you're
in the corner.
Life.
Okay, you hate light. All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, I'll leave these lights up at the front, and then a lot of times they'll move into a new spot where you're like,
straight into the impeller of any mechanical thing.
It's just straight into the impeller. Yeah, that does happen from time to time. All right,
I do have a new CO2 video for Jay's Aquatics. I was asking when I was going to make a new one. I made one like 3 months ago or something. It's on the Real Fish Talk channel.
Oh yeah,
because people were like, you've never done a CO2 video. So then I did what I think is a really good one. And people were like, yeah, that was super good.
Yeah.
When are you going to make another one? Like, no, that's...
People enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I actually went down into all the practical things. So instead of like focusing on like, here's how you're going to hit 28 part per million, and here you're going to calibrate your drop checker and all that. I was like, no, here's how I just run this. It's really easy. Like, start off really low and then keep adding a bit until you get the results. Instead of focusing on 28 part per million that the internet tells you, focus on, oh, my tank looks amazing. Like, oh, good, you're there. You don't have, because I've literally had people buy lights and lights and lights and lights and lights and lights, and they're like, I don't know, I got to keep turning it up. For some reason, I can't hit the magical number. And I'm like, well, is your tank doing it? Yeah, it looks great. It looks amazing. Looks really good. But I can't hit 28. Like, okay, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, if your tank, if everything except for just the number looks amazing to you, you've won. But they're like, oh, no, there's got to be a way I can hit perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're there. That's like saying like, no, it's supposed to take $100,000 to build this shed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, and you did it in 50,000.
It's not $100,000 to build a shed, my guy.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I know.
All we need is 20. Sheds
Build a
abound.
shed.
You know what I'm saying? 2 quick points. One right here. Adam Jonas is saying, I have to say a big thank you for the tip of the triple dose of Excel to kill algae. It worked like a charm. Thumbs up. Bing. You're very much welcome. I know that there's a lot of confusion out there about Excel, that Excel is, it's kind of marketed as a CO2 replacement. Since we were talking about CO2, it was like, oh, that's kind of pertinent. But it's an algaecide that will allow extra CO2
Are you on the same
to be in your water column. It's gluhuda-huda-rudahide.
glutaraldehyde?
Gluhuda-ruda-ruda-ruda-hide. Right?
Are you on the same page that it is an algaecide? Because
It is an algaecide.
I feel like most people I ever
it
talk to
says
are
on the
like-
bottle it's an algaecide. It's
Does it now?
gluhuda-rudahide. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the main active ingredient.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
there are people that white knight the crap out of it. Like, no, it's a different chemical. They say it's a different chemical, and it's like
Well, it's gluhuda-rudahide, whatever you say.
with like a molecule added to
I
it.
always say it's such an idiot all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, it does have a little extra molecule added to it, but that's what it is.
Right.
That's the main ingredient.
Okay,
So,
I just want to make sure we're in agreement because
well, the
people always
reaction
think I'm
is
insane.
The reaction is when Excel gets added to water, it does leave CO2 in the water because it's an algaecide. It has a chemical reaction because it's a chemical, and it does leave essentially free-floating CO2 within the water column.
Okay.
For it,
See, that's new
it
to me.
leaves
I
free-floating
didn't
carbon
realize-
because it's a chemical, right?
Right.
So let's say we take.
But in the
Let's
same
say we
vein,
take
doesn't,
something.
Like,
let's say
Prime
we
do
take
that?
something. Well, hold on. Let's say we take something that we use all the time, like Prime.
Okay.
Right. And that's a chemical.
Yeah.
That creates a chemical reaction.
Uh-huh.
We don't see it happen, right? But we trust that it's happening. Well,
Yeah.
the Excel,
They just really emphasize the
it is
reaction
doing
part.
what they say it's going to do, which it will leave some carbon in the water.
Yeah.
Which is
So-
what it does.
So
you know.
we could say that technically this Pepsi, because it's carbonated, if I was to pour that into my tank, would be adding carbon. Just almost as much as the Excel, right?
in a way, but it's not. It's the carbon.
It's not a chemical reaction, but there would be carbon.
Well, there's a chemical reaction, but the carbon that's in the pop there is not as bound as it is with the gluhuda-rudahide,
Uh-huh.
right? It's not bound the same way.
Right.
So it has a much weaker chain.
Yes.
So when you dump that into your, like, let's say you just took club soda,
Yeah.
right, which is just carbonated water.
Mm-hmm.
Or is club soda carbonated water?
I don't know, but I know you're trying
Whatever,
to
but you know what I'm
water.
saying.
Let's say
Sparkling water,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Agua con gas, right?
Yes.
We take that, we dump it in there. It doesn't have the chemical. It doesn't have the not the chemical, but it doesn't have the chain that's
It's a
holding
molecule chain instead of
Yeah.
just a bunch of gas injected that's like, get me out of
it.
here.
Yeah. It has
Yeah.
a really weak
The carbonation factor.
bound chain, right?
Mhm.
That's not really going to hold it
Right.
in place. So then it just
So Excel will hold
Yeah.
it longer.
Excel, the gluhuda-rudahide will hold it longer,
Okay.
and it creates a chemical reaction in the water, which it will. It does work as an algaecide. It only kills one algae in my experience, and that's blackbeard algae. It just seems to be the only one that it works on in water.
I feel like it does some work against hair algae, but it's way effective against beard algae.
I mean, probably, but I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't like dramatically annihilate hair algae like it does blackbeard algae. So yeah, I mean, but you're welcome. Phil Emerson was asking who was the first in the chat today. Actually, the first who was in the chat today, I don't know.
Today? I don't
But
know.
whoever was first in the chat when the chat opened was, I'll give you one guess,
Dominguez.
Frank Dominguez. Yesterday at like 10 p.m.
He's on it. Every
When
time
I-
he's not at work, he's just refreshing.
Yeah, when I
no matter
made
what
it,
time of day.
It's just F5 in it
Yep.
all day long, right?
He actually has a fan with like a lead weight that just does it every second.
Just doot,
Yep.
doot. Oh, he has like one of those birds, like Homer Simpson,
Yeah.
like the little bobber bird.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's just hitting the
Yeah.
nuclear reactor, don't explode.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. That's good. I'm glad to hear that we're both on the same. We're crazy. That's what Excel does. I did learn a little bit more about it, so that's cool. But yeah, it's always good to be like, oh, this other guy that tests stuff for himself is in agreement with me who tests crap for myself. All right, then we're probably fairly accurate.
Well, right. So at one point in time, I went down the research rabbit hole on Excel because people were like, look, I just make my own Excel. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, I buy the 50-gallon drum.
And then I ended up looking into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's not. You're just ordering it with a different label. You're
And
not
then you
even
water
making
it
it.
down.
They weren't making it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
You're
were
like,
ordering
you
it with a
dilute-
different
you
label.
diluted glutaraldehyde.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they just watered it down, basically.
Do you
You're
just
like,
dilute it with
right.
distilled?
I think that's what they were doing.
I would assume. But
I don't know. It
wanna
seemed
make
like
an
a big
assumption.
waste of time to me to like get approval to order 10 gallons of the stuff. You know what I mean? I was like,
Well, and from
but
what
I
I
could
hear,
just
the people that
inject
are breaking
CO2.
it down, they say it's wicked dangerous in its not diluted form.
oh, and it's not diluted form. It's wicked. Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
good idea to just
That's why you have to get
it.
approval.
Yeah, to just
It's
have it
wicked
around.
dangerous, yeah.
Well, I've just got it just kicking around in my garage. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like old wires.
Because the club was doing it for a while, where they would like basically hand out 2-liter bottles of diluted down.
Oh, that's smart.
It was diluted down, but someone was someone was selling it at cost to like group source it, that type of thing.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of being around caustic chemicals. I used to work for a company that mixed down caustic chemicals, and I'm not a huge fan of all the wounds that I've seen from caustic chemicals and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to get involved in that.
I want to try and answer this question because I'm not a cook, but I want to see if the internet is correct. I feel like the question is, how do you get the smell of garlic off your hands after cooking? I feel like Facebook internet has taught me that you like rub it on stainless steel, and that like gets the smell off your hands. Is that
No.
oh? You've failed me, Facebook.
You get the smell of garlic off of you?
Yeah. I can't be the only one that's read that on Facebook. Like there was a thing like they
To
were
rub
selling
it on stainless steel.
Yeah, they had like a stainless steel
So
bar that
stainless
looked-
steel
Yes.
you can use in surgery because it's not going to carry bacteria or
I
anything like
understand.
that. But it's somehow going to
It
take a
seems
smell
insane,
off of you.
but I swear that that
Fluval.
Facebook
Fluval's tripping.
That's right.
Yeah.
I swear that Facebook was like marketing like, look, it's shaped like a bar of soap. You just rub it on your hands. There goes the smells.
Yeah.
I feel like I actually looked it up.
Some people are on it. They're close. Some people are close.
I'm just saying I feel like I actually looked it up
Some people are.
and the
some
internet
people
was
are
like,
really
yeah,
close.
that's a thing.
Some people are
I'm
really,
gonna Google
really
it later.
close.
I'm gonna Google it later, and when it is true, I'm gonna be like, "Booyah! Told you."
What?
And then when
Stainless steel
it's-
takes garlic smell off of you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me remind you that everything in a real kitchen is either stainless steel
I know.
or brick
Yes.
or plastic.
Yes.
Stainless steel does not work. I will assure you, spending years and years as a professional chef,
People are chiming in that it works
stainless
on
steel
some
does not
things.
get the smell off. It does not. But a lot of people are on the right track. And Laura Klinger, soap and water? Yeah. Soap and water would be a good start. That would be the first thing that you'd want to do.
Washing your hands? You ever
But
tried
if
it?
you really really want to get the smell of garlic off of you, which I've had to in the past, straight from Google, this trick actually works with both garlic and onions, whose smell can be neutralized with stainless steel. All right. I will argue that till the end of my days that it will get
Maybe we'll put it to the
it
test.
will get the smell of garlic off of human skin.
That's the crazy thing. I didn't believe it, and I Googled it, and I'm just saying. That's why I brought this up. Of like, oh man, I might know the answer.
All right.
There were
I tell you what, I'll
would
put
think-
your hands in some garlic,
All right.
and then you rub them on as much stainless steel as you want, and then go walk over to a stranger and ask
Yeah.
them to smell your hands.
Yeah, smell
and
my
ask
fingers.
if they smell like garlic.
I'm just saying
Because
maybe,
remember that smell is subjective. Okay.
yes.
All right. So, but
We'll
Barbara
run the
Jackson
test.
got it. Barbara Jackson just got it.
Oh, what'd you get? Oh,
Lemon juice and kosher salt. You mix those two together.
Now, does the salt actually help, or is it the abrasive?
That's just salt's the abrasive.
Yeah.
And lemon juice. That's the only way to get it really off.
All right.
And being somebody
Besides
that handles
obviously.
garlic for like 16 hours a day, and it's like I need to go somewhere and not smell like garlic. It's the only way that really works when you show up and people have not been around you. See, because one of the stupid tricks is that like you rub stainless steel on yourself, and it's people around the garlic already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, "Yeah, now you don't smell like garlic." And you're like, "Yeah, well, you guys can't smell the garlic anymore because you've just been around a bunch of raw garlic." And then now you're smelling somebody's. It's
We
goofy.
can make the video.
All right,
we'll
we'll make
put it
the
to the
video. I guarantee
I'm
you somebody's
sure
going to
it's
get hit over the head with a bar of soap made out of stainless steel.
One of the two of us.
One of the two of us is going to get hit over the head.
I'm gonna put it in a sock and beat you with it.
Let's see. Nick K says, special steel bar worked for me, the bait smell when going fishing. Not all the way, but it works pretty well. I just, as somebody who's used Orange Clean, who's used bleach, who's used hand soap, who's used whatever, salt and lemon juice is the only way to really get it off you so that, like, other people don't smell it on you. It's really the only way that I know that effectively works to actually get it out.
I'm looking it up on Snopes.
All right, you can.
They wouldn't make a product that's as seen on TV if it didn't work.
That's right. That's right. Buy these stainless steel bars of soap.
You wouldn't see it at the end of
Two
an
easy
aisleway.
payments and one difficult payment of $23.99.
And then when they don't sell, they're at the end cap of Rite Aid.
They would only carry things at Rite Aid that are legit. All right, 4:47, and we don't have a ton of questions about going to the rock yard. I'm thinking maybe
Ed hit
that
it right,
video.
though.
I think that
Ed.
video was just good enough that people were like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
get it. They got a bunch of rocks there." Right?
Ed says, came to learn about landscaping stones, learned about garlic. That's
There
what
you go.
we aim to do.
Garlic.
We rope you in with the super enticing, let's look at rocks,
I
and
know.
then we hit you with some brain
I think one of the biggest questions I got was because I spelled hardscape wrong.
Did you?
Is what people thought. Because I spelled it hadscape.
Oh, I didn't even know.
It was. I was making a joke. No, I don't think anybody got the joke.
From
It was too
Brooklyn?
deep. It was too deep into the
Yeah?
ridiculous. But the guy from Bob Vila,
Yeah.
not the Bob Vila, this old house,
Yeah.
no longer has Bob Vila on it. It has different guys on it. And the landscape guy is like super Boston dude.
Yeah.
And he's always saying,
Well, the
he's
way
always
you said it, I thought Boston accent.
I'm talking about the hadscape over here of the yard. And that's always talking. And it cracks me up. And so that's why I put hadscape on there. My guy, hadscape. You know?
Right over the head.
I think it went right over
Right
there.
over my
everybody's
head. I'm a guy that believes that you could rub your hands on stainless steel to get rid of smells. So you gotta bring it down a few notches because I believe what I read on Facebook.
Do you believe it?
I
Do
still
you believe it?
I believe it because Google backed it up. That's the problem. Is I have way too much faith in Google.
Do you believe in a thing called Google?
I
Is
do.
that how it goes?
Yeah.
I think that's how that
That's
song
the
goes.
problem. Is I put way too much of my life trust into Google. Like if Google said it was a good idea to do something really stupid, I think there's a legit chance I would do it.
Right.
Because I put so much blind faith.
Here's the thing. It's like just rubbing your hand on some stainless steel isn't going to take a smell off of a porous thing like your hand. You know, it's just not.
So, I completely agree.
Your
that
hand
it
is
seems
porous.
Like
The steel is not.
I'm not debating that fact. But what I could believe is that
pumice!
what if there was some crazy thing where your skin oils reacted with the metal and then you overproduced and then it like fixed it. I totally get what you're saying, and talking at length.
Well, then my concern would be that if there was a crazy reaction whenever you touched stainless steel, right?
Yes.
And yet the
What
only
if it has to have the
and yet the
catalyst
only
of garlic
protection
as
that you
well?
had was having garlic all over your hands
Yes.
from said crazy reaction from
Yeah.
the stainless steel.
No, what if
I don't know that we would like have stainless steel around us and be like, it's reacting with me again.
What if it
Dagnabbit.
only reacts with garlic though? So what if that's like it's so happens so rarely? And what if it has to? What if it only reacts in bar form?
I don't
It's
even
got
know.
the curvature of
I don't
a bar
even know
of
if
soap.
Fluval's tripping anymore. I'm tripping now. I swear to God. I'm in some kind of...
I think
I
what
say,
I know
"Hey,
what I'm
guy,
getting you for
I'm in some
Christmas.
kinda
I
weird-
know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
I'm in a weird time warp here. It's happening.
Everyone send Joel a stainless steel bar of soap.
That
You're
would,
gonna
yeah,
have like 40 of them.
that'd be fine. I'll use them for something.
We're gonna
I
put them
won't-
on the backdrop of the new show.
I'll use them for something.
You
but-
melt them down.
I won't be using them for garlic smell removal. I'll tell you that.
Oh man.
Well, it's like I was trying to explain to somebody how soap works the other day, and they were like,
What is it like? What do they call that? The diffracting nature of it?
"Well, like what soap does is it makes water wetter, right? It essentially
It
like
plays with the fractionation of water.
right. So
yeah.
it opens up the bond, right?
Uh-huh.
It opens up the bond between the molecules of H2O, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it essentially wetter, right? So now you have like an unoccupied space where the bacteria will end up falling
it traps
into.
it.
And then it traps it, and then it takes it away.
Mm.
So that's why you can no longer say antibacterial soap on soap anymore.
Because it just
You can't label it with antibacterial.
because it actually attracts it.
No, because all soap is antibacterial. So it's not. There's no differentiation. People are allowed to sell their backlog of soap that
That's
says
already
is pre-labeled and stuff like that. So you will see a ton of it out there. But it was a federal mandate that you can no longer put antibacterial on your soap as a quantifier because all soap is antibacterial in the same way. That the bacteria gets picked up, it gets carried away. That's why you don't hang out in the sewer pipe because that's where all the bacteria is. That's been carried
What
away.
if you put alcohol in your soap? Can you then label it antibacterial? Does it
Then
become
it's
more?
antiseptic.
Oh,
Ah, Mwahaha.
dang knowledge.
Antiseptic. Right?
I hate when
It's a
there's
little
other
bit weird,
words
right?
that mean other things. Yeah.
Uh-oh, Facebook said water is not wet. Dagnabbit. It
I
happened
saw it on
again,
Facebook, so
Facebooks.
it's true. Ooh, that's the word, surfactant. That was the word I was looking for.
Surfactant.
Yeah.
Yes, it expands
That
the
was the word I was
surface.
looking
It
for.
expands the surface tension of water,
Mhm.
which is weird because, like, if I say it expands the surface tension of water, people just like, huh? But if I say
It done
it
makes
makes
a
water
bigger
wetter,
meniscus.
they're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I think I learned it from Mr. Wizard. In fact, I want to make that show. We should just make Mr. Wizard 2018. Do you remember that show?
I love Mr. Wizard.
Who doesn't love Mr. Wizard?
People
Mr. Wizard
people
needs
try
to come
tell
back.
me that like Bill Nye is as good as Mr. Wizard, and I'm like, no,
I don't think that's true.
you's like Fluval, you's tripping.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
And-
I do love Bill Nye.
I love Bill Nye too, but you
But
have to
Mr.
remember,
Wizard.
you have to remember that like Bill Nye is from here. He's more an actor and a comedian than he is a science guy, you know. But Mr. Wizard was legit, like.
I feel like Mr. Wizard was the MacGyver of science. He's like,
Right.
watch this. We're going to take 2 toothpicks.
Check
I
this
need you
out.
to cut a sliver off your mom's bar of soap, and then you're going to need a Post-it note, and we've made a sailboat. You know, and you're just like, what? Because all his things would be done with like, okay, you could probably, and we're like, watch this. We're going to take a coffee can, 3 rubber bands, and 2 paper clips, and we've got a never-ending wheel.
You got a
You know, we're like,
never-ending
just like
wheel that's
as
gonna
a
power-
kid, I'd just
yeah.
be like, this stuff's being done. Oh my god, I feel like I could do that even. Oh, I only had 2 rubber bands. This project's over, and then my kid brain would forget, and then I'd watch him the next day. Yes, let's shut everything down and make Mr. Wizard reboot.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Wizard Strangelove.
Bacteria can't get caught in the open spot of water molecules because bacteria are about 1 billion zillion times bigger than a water molecule.
I mean, that sounds scientific.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Amazon has Pop-Tarts on sale. I could use more science shows.
Ugh. I can't even, like-
I'm gonna run through the chat here. We've got 5 minutes left, and I don't see... We didn't have any super chats today, so we won't need to answer any of those. And
Yeah. You need to start who's first to the super chat.
I don't know.
You need to start that segment.
I don't know. Nobody super
I
chatted
know.
today.
You just got to start that. Like, who's first to the super chat?
Oh, who made it
today?
first to the super chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I found on my live stream, we didn't know it. Like someone said, "Oh, I don't think the super chats are working."
Oh, we didn't talk about the Patreon, so we should talk about the Patreon now because
for like
everyone
an hour and a
loves
half?
that.
For like an hour and a half.
Well, we've got about 6-7 minutes to fill. We can talk about Patreon.
We
You ever
could
been
talk
to
about
Patreon
how
before?
I still haven't thought about the prize I'm going to give away, but you could still sign up.
Oh, that prize! You could get the Aquarium Coop prize.
Let me ask this. Would you guys rather have like a gift card you could spend on anything you wanted at Aquarium Co-op? Or would you rather have like the Aquarium Co-op swag bag with a bunch of stuff signed? Or would you rather have like 6 stainless steel soap bars? Because I'm just like, oh, maybe a gift card's lame, but then maybe someone's like, sweet, I can buy anything I want. And then maybe if you get a picture like, oh, sweet, I got a hoodie, a shirt, a hat, a keychain, and all that, and I don't want any of those things. You know, so I feel like I give a lot of gift cards away, but they're so versatile. Like, if you wanted all that swag stuff, you can buy it. So I don't know. You guys, let me, maybe a signed stainless steel bar. Maybe that's the hybrid of both worlds. Are we silence?
What's happened?
Yeah, silence going on.
What happened? Oh no, I was reading the chat here
Oh.
and getting mildly infuriated. What happened? What were we talking about?
We are patronizing.
Oh, we're talking about Patreon?
And I was asking people whether they want a gift card.
I spaced out.
They want a swag bag.
What do you guys want? Swag bag?
So far
gift
we
card?
have one. We have
Swag bag? Oh, there you go. Chat's popping now. Bunch of people talking about swag bags and gift cards.
swag bag looks to be winning.
What was
All
our
right.
concurrent today? Oh, we don't have that data because I set the stream up like an
I
idiot.
could probably tell. Well, there's 151 people watching currently, but I don't know what the peak is.
Oh, well. 151 people today.
That
I
ain't
guess hit
bad.
the like button. Did you guys like this?
Hit that like
We
button.
got 2 minutes left.
I
Talk about the
enjoyed it.
Patreon.
I enjoyed it.
Looks like people are saying swag bags, gift card, swag bag.
Maybe it needs to be a swag bag that includes a gift card, so that way you get a little bit all of it. You know, like signed
Bare
beer.
Bottom says stainless steel garlic flavored Pop Tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what I
pretty
like.
good.
First to the super chat.
Oh, can I wish Candy a happy birthday? Mellow Moogle with the $5 super chat for Candy Overhaul's birthday. I believe
Happy
Candy Overhauls
birthday.
just turned 27.
Oh, 27. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard on the street.
Yeah.
Word on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Candy Overhaul's coming in at a whopping 27 years old. Living out there, matching the negative 27 degrees is over her place.
Yeah, her age is probably how many negative degrees it is currently.
That's
right
probably
now.
what it
Yeah,
is,
it's
yeah.
in sync. Yeah. Yeah. Does
s-
your Amazon list update when someone buys something from it?
I believe so.
I think
if
it
the
does.
count is so if the on the Amazon list, if the count is 1, it will go away if
Right.
somebody buys it.
Yeah, because if you need 4
If the count,
things,
yeah, it's like if
it'll
I need
just
like
drop it to
4
3.
cables or something,
Yeah.
right? If you need like 4 cables, it'll say like, "Hey, 3 have been bought. You could buy 1 more." It should disappear off of there when that happens.
Yeah.
To be brutally honest with you, I was somewhere in my head. I was being like super arrogant, right? And I have to admit this. When
right.
I was going over to my mom's house, I was like, maybe I'll get a new camera for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm an idiot because there's no way my mom would buy me a super expensive camera for Christmas.
All right.
You know what I mean? But
But she did.
she did. We got
For
got
real?
another Logitech Brio.
Nice.
So we have the 2 Logitech Brios thanks to the patronizers and my mom.
Mom.
So
Still doing
we
it.
actually have at the studio now. We'll be able to have both Logitech Brios
Maybe
and
someday I'll
not
come to your place.
do that
again.
thing. Yeah, maybe someday. yeah.
Maybe I'll come build stuff at your house.
Yeah, come build
Except
stuff.
I can't really build. So it'll
I
be
got some
like-
holes that need digging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get to them
Uh,
diggings.
Yeah, at some point in time, we will get back on a schedule where I'll be at my place, and then we'll be coming back and forth, whatever.
Yeah.
Right now, we're working on the new co-op studio, which, you know, if you guys keep patronizing the way that we're patronizing, then we'll be able to keep coming up here and going back and forth and doing all the stuff that we need going. And thank you very much to the Fishy Mailman who busted out the $100
Dang. Dang.
He went up from 20 to $100. He was also the guy that super chatted you $100 too.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wow, the mailman's is balling. Must have
Yeah.
got the mailman style Christmas bonus.
I always like to think that those, and I don't want to put other people down, but I always want to feel like those are people like me where they're like, wow, this is real. Like out of 155 people watching, there's probably like 5 people that are like, this is the best hour of my day. Then there's 20 people who are like, yeah, I'll chime in. And then there's like 100 people like, oh, I'll have it on the background. And I always feel
Right.
like that $100 level is probably like, I wait all day to listen to this. And if that is that way to you, then it totally is like that $100 level. Like if you're looking
Right.
forward to it, like, oh man, we're gonna go out for steak dinner. I'm so excited. If it's at that level,
Yeah.
that's always
And
super
as
cool.
the fishing mailman posted on the Patreon, you guys can check it out there. He gave you a full disclosure. He went up to $100 for this month as a thanks for Christmas.
Yeah,
which
like
is super cool, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it big time. Steven Scotland's in the chat. He's one of our top supporters.
hit
Also,
me up
along
big,
with
too.
along with all of our moderators here and everything. I'm not going to get too in depth into it because I'm going to do a New Year's thing. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do a New Year's thing to say thanks to all the people out there for all that kind of stuff, and that'll probably be. I don't know what day that'll be. I don't know if it'll be New Year's Eve. Or New Year's
I would
Day or
guess
anything
somewhere
like that, but
near New Year's.
somewhere near New Year's.
Yeah.
I
We
like
don't
to
wanna
do. I
promise
like
and
to
not
do a
deliver.
Christmas special, but not call it a Christmas special. Call it a Rock Yard follow up. A couple days after Christmas. That's
Yeah.
how I like to do my Christmas special.
plus 2.
I mean, yours comes out on the day of
Yeah,
Christmas.
I'm gangster.
Me, I just wait a couple days and call it something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Bear Bottom says, I want every episode of Corvusation on DVD.
Whoa,
Whoa.
we could make that happen. You know how
probably
ridiculously
do that.
funny that would be.
That'd be weird.
You're like, here's the
Some
box
people,
set.
like-
we only made one.
Some people like Phil Emerson have been going deep. They've been going deep into the old videos.
I just thought about how cool that is. We could do that,
They've been going
but you
deep
could only win it. Like we wouldn't sell
into some
it.
of
Like,
my
it'd just
old
be like-
videos and going like, wow. Like somebody was commenting on a video from like 5 years ago or something, and it wasn't Phil. I think it was somebody else, but they were like, wow, it's really crazy to see how far you've come.
as a human
Like
being.
not only just like production, all that kind of like video production, all that kind of stuff, like how much better it is and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the thing. If it had gotten worse than that, what?
Like I was filming it
That's
on a
not good.
potato.
It was-
If we
it was-
downgrade to like
I went from
a carrot.
well,
it's
I
over.
had two potatoes.
Yeah.
You know, I had them tied together. You know,
Okay.
yeah, it was good. Filmed it
Potatoes
on a
in tandem.
potato. It was a smart way to go.
Yeah, one was a backup potato.
Backup potato. It powered the other one.
Yeah.
Michael Faulkner with the super chat. Anything you should do differently on the bottom of the tank when adding lots of rocks? I have mine sitting on the sand. Oh, that's a good point. If you do have a glass bottom aquarium, always remember to not just drop them straight onto that glass.
I feel like
I've done it before.
Yeah.
If I do have like really big rocks that are going to be going into
Uh-huh.
a glass tank, I normally get some glass or some light diffusion.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the standard. Yeah, you should do that. But I'm also not sure I've really met very many people ever where it's like, yeah, the bottom of my tank blew out because a
I've
rock fell.
I've seen it.
I believe it can happen. I mean, a
Uh,
lot of things can happen.
It happened on one of my triptych tanks. So it was a triple tank that was all plumbed together.
And you called it the what? The triptych tank?
Triptych. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a way of saying triple,
Yeah.
right? It was
Don't
a-
be tripping.
So they were all plumbed together. It was a reef tank, and one of
Yeah.
the rocks like fell over like this, and then went dunk and like blew out the bottom. And I was just like, "What is that crazy noise? Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And it was.
Meanwhile, it was
I had
draining all
plumbed
3
it in
tanks.
just a way that it blew out the. I think it was the middle tank.
Yeah.
I don't want to be wrong here. It might have been one of the side tanks. Either way, the bottom that got blown out, it went straight into the sump. So there was like a little bit of water around it, and then it was draining down into the sump as it was being pumped back up. As water was being pumped back up, it was draining straight down into the sump, and I just was like, "What the? What? Is there a saboteur?
Yeah.
Like, is there a ninja around here who figured this out?"
I know the super baller way. Like if you have way too much money and you want to feel like you're better than other people, you use black cutting board. It's like stupid expensive, but I know like ultra high-end reefers are like, no, man, you have to run the black cutting board along the entire bottom.
Oh yeah, you can actually just get those cut to size or cut them yourself.
Yeah, but they're way more expensive than just like buying lighting diffuser and stuff.
Yeah, and it's easier to cut lighting diffuser.
Yeah, you can walk to home, or not walk because no one walks, but you can go to Home Depot, grab your lighting diffuser, come home, you're ready to go. Where they were like sourcing it and where they could find blacks and wanted it to look black so it didn't, draw the attention away from the coral and all that. And then pretty soon they're shipping big sheets because they only want it one piece because they don't want debris to get underneath it. They were going to silicone it in. I'm going, this is pretty darn elaborate for something that happens rarely. I would say most people are more likely to get in a car accident than they are to have a rock fall and break out the bottom of their aquarium.
That is kind of weird.
Like, I'm just saying, it's like, it can happen, but really, for as many rocks as we have in aquariums
over the years, that's the only time I've ever had that happen.
Yeah, and knock on wood, I've never had it happen.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's
kind
hundreds
of weird.
Of aquariums.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to have happen, but
so while not likely, once is more than ever.
Like that 60 cube, that's an acrylic. So,
yeah.
I mean,
it would take a lot to be like, I shattered the acrylic tank.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, I blew out the bottom. Like, how'd you do that? Oh, I ran it over the bulldozer. Well, yeah, okay. Let's answer a quick question here at the end. Thank you very much for everybody. I'm reading all your comments about watching the old videos and stuff like that. It's badass. Yes, people were like, yeah, I used to have a mohawk. I had a mohawk for longer than I've ever had any other haircut.
Okay.
Like, even growing up as a little boy.
I've had mohawks
I eventually got a mohawk and had a mohawk for about 20 years. So it hasn't really been that long that I just have a regular haircut now. What's that?
That's over half your life, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much had a mohawk. Like, when Vicky met me, my mohawk was like this long. Yeah. So she just thought I had long hair. Until I, like, trimmed up the sides one day. Or no. Wait, did she meet me like that? I might be wrong. I think she... Scratch all that. I don't remember. I'm confused now. Maybe I had a short mohawk when I met her because I think I was looking pretty dapper. Right? Yeah.
I have a feeling you're in the short mohawk phase.
Maybe. I don't know. But I've had
I don't pretend to study your
But
hair.
I've had super long mohawks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I had a mohawk forever. But either way, the last question I'm going to answer here real fast is a real fast one, and it's sort of self-aggrandizing because it's about the Patreon. People are asking... Michael Faulkner was asking, what does more work, Super Chats or Patreon? And some people answered. They say YouTube takes a bigger cut, which is very true. Patreon takes a lesser cut. I find it to be easier because it is a month subscription sort of deal that you're like, hey, I wanna kick in $10, $20. Or $100, whatever the number is. It's once a month, right at the end of the month. You know when it's coming out and that kind of stuff. That said, a lot of people like to super chat because it's easier for them. So either way you want to go about it is totally fine with me. I endorse it. But if that is the question, I would say that the Patreon is a much easier way to go about it. And I feel like there's more benefits to the Patreon.
Yeah.
Like even if I wasn't like doing a giveaway or anything like that on the Patreon, I feel like there's more benefits just for
there's a cool community going on there.
The community that's on there, the ability to post pictures and stuff like that. You really could go up on there and post a picture of like this is what's going on with my tank, blah 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 blah. You could really put in. I did a water test. Here's what it looks like. This is what's going on. Blah blah blah. And you could put all that kind of stuff in there. You can get answers from other people instead of maybe just me and Corey or Corey and I. There could be a whole bunch of other people that are going like, oh, that happened to my tank once when I was living in Sacramento, and it's because my kid kept throwing top ramen in the tank or whatever.
Earthquakes, man.
You know? Oh, and Victoria's in the chat. What did she say? She says I just recut the short mohawk, or Oh, maybe I had just recut it short.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
How helpful is subscribing to YouTube Red? It is helpful. I find the biggest impact is it changes how you use YouTube. All of a sudden, you end up watching more and downloading stuff. Like you can watch for later. But in terms of like actually getting creators paid, it will pay them if you were going to watch an ad, but now you don't see it. So like on Joel's channel here, there's not very many ads at all. So you signing up for YouTube Red wouldn't pay him that much. But like on Real Fish Talk, we focus on the live show. So there's a bunch of ads after the fact, or you can listen to the podcast for free. But for there, you having YouTube Red might pay us a decent amount, and you don't have to watch any of the ads. Or you can also just click that download button, and then you could use your phone or whatever and listen to the podcast while you're in the car,
Right.
and that type of thing. And so it's another way. But yeah, I would say
I think YouTube Red is pretty cool. Like if you had,
I have it
just
now.
from the basis of like, if you're like me, right, and you don't have cable, and you're like, oh, I have Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah.
So I get to watch a bunch of shows on Amazon Prime. Then we have Netflix.
Yep.
I get to watch a bunch of shows on Netflix, and then I can watch a bunch of YouTube stuff without commercials and any of that kind of stuff. That pretty much fills up all the time that cable would have ever occupied. I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
With more, like, focused stuff that I want to watch, right?
Yeah, I
You'd
treat
be
it
like,
I treat it like
I want to check out
Netflix
what's
now.
going on with Tom Segura. And he's like, oh, he's got a bunch of videos up there.
Yep.
Oh, cool. I can watch these and figure out what's going on with him. You know, like we were playing a Peter McKinnon thing the other day. It was like, what's he doing? Like, oh, he's like figuring out with that lens and stuff. And, you know, realistically, if I end up watching like the news, like Channel 5 or whatever, like the local thing, like they never cover anything I want to hear about.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, because like I experienced this because when I was at my mom's house, they like just had the news playing.
Yeah, same with
and
my
I was
grandma's. I'm like, how do you watch
what
this?
is happening? Like, this is awful. Like why are you exposing this
they
to me?
tease the one story you might have wanted to watch.
And
for
then I
4
look like a
hours
crazy
prior.
person. Then I look like a crazy person because I got my phone out. While the
Don't
TV's
you ever
on
set
over
your
there.
phone down?
And I'm like, yeah, didn't you ever put your phone down? I was like, I don't want to watch this stupid news thing that is garbage.
They keep teasing about
Yeah.
this snowman and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, they're like, wasn't that cute? These kids made a snowman. You're like, I waited 36 minutes for this?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, 36 minutes to find out there's a snowman. Like,
That's
got
just,
it.
I think it's just a generational change that 20 years ago, you were willing to like, oh, yeah, I'm willing to sit down for an hour and unwind. And now I'm just not. I'm like, oh, an hour? I could consume all the news in 12 minutes.
Right.
So I would do that if I want to know it.
I could jam through like so much information
Yeah.
just in regards to like what's happening right now and not waste my time with that. So,
Yeah.
all right.
We got building to do.
Excuse me. We got to go. We've run way over. We've run long,
Ah.
but we did take some time away from the internet, so we're breaking the dust off here a little bit, or I am, or something.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for everybody coming out today. Thank you very much for our super chatters, Michael Faulkner and Mellow Moogle. Mellow Moogle, she got a butterfly in the avatar. And thank you very much for Victoria for chiming in. Good to see you, hun. I will see you later. And Jackie R, thank you very much for the $2 super chat right at the end here. Have a fantastic night out there, everybody. Don't shoot off any fireworks unless it's in your own living room and you're willing to let your own house burn down.
Yeah.
But don't. Find something better to do.
Insurance doesn't like it.
Find something better to do, like signing up for Netflix or something. That'd be much more fun.
Or watching an old episode of
MASH?
anything you've done.
MASH.
Sure.
Let's go watch MASH episodes.
All right.
All right. Later.
Where's the button? How do I do it on this one? Oh. No?
Is there a button around there? Does anybody know if there's a button around there? There it is.